I've never been asked for my hand in marriage, and I don't want to be a baby mama. That's why I don't have no kids. Like, I'm not finna just have a baby. My layers of intellect, the way I see and experience the world, are a hindrance when it comes to dating. I find it super challenging to find someone who I am intellectually compatible with. And you probably thinking, Kayla, are you saying that these niggas is dumb? No. Well, some of them. But generally speaking, that's not what I'm saying. But I am a person who does have a high level of intellect, and it requires that for you to even be able to hold court with me, for you to even be able to have a conversation with me. For me, compatibility is about whether or not our minds can meet. And that's where it gets hard. Whether or not what we are experiencing with each other goes beyond just a vibe. I cannot date, be serious, or get to know someone intimately if they do not have a spiritual grounding in some type of relationship with God. Listen to what this man told me.
Now, how y'all ain't gonna pop out of nowhere and then pop back into nowhere? Now, come on. And you said having fun.
We have got to decenter the fact that when you found a man or when you are partnered, that you are a step above or a notch above in society. You being chosen makes you more special. I choose me every day, and God chose me from the beginning. So I'm already special. It's in my bloodline. It's in my DNA. I don't need a man to add to or validate the fact that I am special. There is no middle ground. There's either just the vibe guys, or there are the guys who are ready to take you down to the justice of peace and wife you up tomorrow. And so I'm looking for my people who are right in the middle. They don't want to just vibe. They want to date seriously. They want to date with intention, but they are also not aggressively racing towards the altar. Like, can I meet your mama? Did you have a dog when you were a kid? Child, what is your middle name? He was like, do you have any kids? I was like, no. He said, well, how do you feel about dating men with kids? And I said to him, well, my desire to be intellectually stimulated is high. I want depth in the conversation. I want substance. I want meaning. I don't just want to kick it in key. I want that to be a part of how we get to know each other. But we got to sit around and talk about things that actually mean something, things that actually determine if we are spiritually, emotionally, okay, and intellectually compatible. A lot of men are looking for a woman who can already fit into whatever they got going on. This one is for the girls, the guys, the days, and the dims. This one is for the millennial, the person who is trying to date, trying to open themselves up in that way, but keeps finding themselves in some of the most crazy experiences and conversations that really got you thinking, you know what? I need to figure out what compatibility looks like for me because this ain't it. Okay? Let's go beneath the scenes. Life can be so complex. The human experience is far more expansive than what we can see, and we spend so much time just trying to figure it out. We put on makeup, nice clothing, and we go out into the world trying to hold it all together. When beneath those seams, we are being ripped apart. Some of the ripping is self-inflicted, some of it is because of the pressure of society, but all of it is limiting. Limiting in our quest to just simply be who we truly are. We're more complex than we give ourselves credit for. We fill our brains with popular sayings like, oh, it ain't that serious, loosen up, or just live a little. But life in itself is a deep, non-surface level experience, and sometimes it can be pretty serious. So often we force ourselves to only exist at the surface, never allowing ourselves to be fully exposed. We let the layers pile up until the pressure becomes too much to bear, and then we rip. Sometimes into shreds, and a lot of the times in silence. Beneath means to go below the surface, and seams are what are supposed to keep us joined together. Because we are taught, no matter what, you just have to keep yourself together. We create this image, never letting people in, never going beneath the seams. I don't know if we ever get the answers we expect from life, but I'm starting to find peace in the process of just figuring it out. Instead of forcing the complexities of this human experience to be hidden, let's peel back the layers and go beneath them. Beneath the Seams, a love letter to millennials who are just trying to figure it out. Beneath the Seams, the podcast, now available on all platforms. Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Beneath the Seams. I am your host, Kayla Riggins, and this is the safe seat This is the scene seat. This is the space and the place where I get all up in y'all face. Okay? Should have been a rapper. Word to Drake. This is the space where I tell y'all my business. I let y'all into my life. I get all up in y'all business. And we have the real conversations that force us to think, force us to say the quiet part out loud, all in an effort for us to just live a more unapologetic, real life, an authentic life, one where we can truly be ourselves. One thing I learned as I get older and older is that life is never really what it seems. So over here we go beneath them. We peel back the layers of clothing and makeup and all of the fun things that we use to protect ourselves, and we get real personal. I think we are doing ourselves a disservice as a generation, not living fully authentically as who we are. And so my mission here with these conversations is to help you think a little bit deeply so that you can go out into the world and your life and your relationships and just be yourself. Whatever version of you that is, I want you to tap more into the truest version of you. So that's why I sit over here and yap. I talk about all of the things that make me cry, make me happy, make me joyful, make me sad, make me think. Depth is definitely my love language. So I just be over here talking, and this is my love letter to millennials who are just trying to figure it out. That's the whole purpose of these conversations. Listen, we just trying to figure it out. So today, child, y'all know I gotta brace myself every time I choose to talk about dating, menfolk, or anything of the sorts because it's such a hot button topic. Like, it's strict. It's strict around here on what you can and can't say. And for whatever reason, dating just really gets the people going. It's provocative, you know? And so I always just gotta take a deep breath before I talk about these things because I ain't never scared. However, I do like to talk about them in a way where I'm not bashing or adding to the noise of dating, because I do think that there are some very negative connotations, some very negative platforms, particularly, of course, online, that paint dating, that paint men and women, particularly black men and women, in a very negative light. And I want to make sure that I don't contribute to that noise because I think it's counterproductive. I think it's chaotic. I think it's a straight up shit show. And I never want to be on that side of the conversation. But I do want to be able to share my truth and some of the craziness that I have to deal with. So with that being said, prepare yourself. Hold on to your wig, Kim, because today I'm probably going to be the most unhinged when sharing these stories than I've ever been sitting in this seat, because I decided that the month of October, the Q4, that I was going to manifest and usher in some new energy into my life in all areas, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, relationally. Really, the truth is getting ahead of seasonal depression, making sure that we don't fall into that slump this year, and just getting back to myself, getting outside more, doing things that really make me happy, things that I truly enjoy. And of course, y'all know I am Miss, if I never get married and have children, I'm okay with that. Truly, deeply in my soul, that is not something that I feel a deep desire to do. However, that don't mean I don't want me a man. That don't mean that I don't desire companionship. I would be less than honest if I ever sat up here and said that. So if y'all ever catch me saying that, please call bullshit. Please say, Kayla, you a lie, because something has happened to me. Somebody has drugged me or something, and I'm lying because I definitely have interest in dating. I definitely have interest in getting to know men. I definitely have interest in finding a partner, having a boyfriend. I'm even open to marriage. My philosophy is just, I'm not waiting on those things to feel fulfilled. I'm not waiting on those things to feel satisfied. So if they happen, I embrace them, I welcome them. But if they don't, I am choosing to be at peace with my life and what I have anyway. Okay? So let's get into some things. So I think it's important to set the tone for this conversation by defining what compatibility actually means, because in culture we love to interpret things and rewrite and rework definitions depending on how we feel, how what's going on in the world, depending on what rapper or reality star has coined the term. We like to switch stuff up. And so I think it's important to just go back to a foundation of what a word actually means. And so according to Miss Miriam, Merriam-Webster, compatibility is a state in which two things are able to exist or occur together without problems or conflict. If this is the definition, y'all, human beings are never going to be compatible because we're always going to have problems and conflict. That is just the nature of having intimate interpersonal relationships. But I get that there's a little bit more nuance there. This is probably compatibility in terms of like a remote and a TV. I don't know if this is very much the humanistic aspect. So let's go a little further into the definition. So compatibility refers to the ability of people, systems, or things to exist or work together harmoniously, often involving agreement, shared needs, or the ability to function together without issue. So both of them talk about functioning together without issue. Wow, I've never taken the time to look this up, and that is very interesting because I don't know if without issue will ever apply to human beings. So of course there have to be some layers added here, some context to apply this to the human experience. So that is what Miss Merriam-Webster says compatibility means. For me, Kayla, okay? Compatibility for me isn't just about liking the same music or having the same hobbies. It's also more than y'all love talking about them love languages. Compatibility is more than just, oh, I like quality time. Oh, I like acts of affirmation or whatever it is y'all be saying. Even my own, I say my love language is depth. It's more than just that to me. For me, compatibility is about whether or not our minds can meet. And that's where it gets hard. Whether or not what we are experiencing with each other goes beyond just a vibe. And that is what I'm finding with dating is that so many people are just looking for a vibe. I am almost 35 years old. I tend to date anywhere from, ooh, I'm gonna put y'all in my business. I tend to date anywhere from 38 to 48 in terms of the men that I meet and encounter and the men that I attract or the men that I'm attracted to. And so I have a little bit of a range of experience in terms of the different ages and interactions that I've had with men. And one of the things that I'm finding is there is no middle ground. There's either just the vibe guys or there are the guys who are ready to take you down to the justice of peace and wife you up tomorrow. And so I'm looking for my people who are right in the middle. They don't want to just vibe. They want to date seriously. They want to date with intention, but they are also not aggressively racing towards the altar. Like, can I meet your mama? Did you have a dog when you were a kid? Child, what is your middle name? I need us to slow this train down a little bit. And so I find myself right in the middle of people who are too disconnected from the experience and people who are so focused on their goal that they're willing to rush into it with whoever is ready to sign on the dotted line. That ain't me. And so we like to talk so much about chemistry and shared values, and those things are important, but compatibility is even deeper than that. I really do appreciate the shared values part, but I also think that intellectual compatibility, relational compatibility, emotional, spiritual compatibility. Those are the factors that I'm really taking into account when I'm trying to get to know somebody. And I feel like we are not asking the right questions. We aren't asking those questions. Sometimes these men are barely asking any questions. And as a girl who likes to talk, that is so frustrating for me to navigate. It all just remains so surface level. I think the biggest piece that I am struggling with out of the intellectual, spiritual, emotional compatibility is definitely going to be intellect. I think my layers of intellect, the way I see and experience the world, are a hindrance when it comes to dating. I find it super challenging to find someone who I am intellectually compatible with. And you probably thinking, Kayla, are you saying that these niggas is dumb? No. Well, some of them. But generally speaking, that's not what I'm saying. But I am a person who does have a high level of intellect, and it requires that for you to even be able to hold court with me, for you to even be able to have a conversation with me. And so I want to use some dating experiences that I've had recently to illustrate my point here. And I'm telling business, I'm playing voice notes like it's finna get juicy, okay? So with the intellectual piece, I don't think I am equally yoked with a lot of the men that I've come across with. The conversations that we have are not ones that deem true compatibility. This was about a year ago now. So it was before, because y'all know I be on and off the maps, get on them, off them, it's a cycle. And so this was before I got back on this most recent time. And I was talking to this guy on the app. We had moved off the app and we actually had FaceTime and we were texting. And we were having a conversation about children. And so lifestyle compatibility is always going to be something that comes up, right? Whether or not you have kids, whether or not you want kids, that is a lifestyle compatibility thing. And so we had a conversation about children. I believe he had one, maybe two children. I can't remember. It was at least one though. And he asked me, did I have kids? And I was like, no. And he was like, how come you don't have any children? Fair question, right? But baby, I didn't know it was about to take this turn. I said, well, I don't want to be a baby mama. And I never met a man that I got into a serious relationship with that was headed towards marriage. And, I've never been asked for my hand in marriage, and I don't want to be a baby mama. That's why I don't have no kids. Like, I'm not finna just have a baby. Y'all, this man busted out laughing. Like, you would have thought we was at a comedy show. You know how somebody be laughing sometimes and they are so weak and you are so far from understanding what is so funny that you're literally just looking kind of in fear a little bit. Like, it was funny. Like, I could not figure out, this was a phone conversation. I could not figure out what was so funny. And I was like, what are you laughing at? And he was like, you don't have no kids because you don't want to be a baby mama. And I was like, yeah. He was like, so what if you were to get married and have a kid and then y'all got divorced? What would that make you? I said an ex-wife. He busted out laughing even more. Y'all, I was so confused. So then he says, his words, not mine. He was like, man, that don't even make no sense. You think a nigga, just because he marry you, he just gonna be, still ain't gonna be your baby daddy. He's still gonna be a baby daddy if y'all don't work out. And I was like, that is so not true. Like, when you have a child within wedlock under the confines of marriage and that marriage dissolves, that person is literally and legally defined and referred to as your ex-husband, as your ex-wife, as your ex-spouse. When you have a child outside of the confines of wedlock and marriage and matrimony, that person is referred to, once that relationship is over, as your baby daddy. So y'all aren't together anymore. That's no longer your boyfriend. That's your child's father, your baby daddy. But if we aren't together anymore because you and I had titles for each other, husband and wife, that makes you my ex-husband. Yes, we share a child together, but that does not just make you my baby daddy. I felt like I was in the twilight zone because I couldn't believe that something that sounded so practical, something that sounded so rational, something that sounded so well in thought could be laughable to him. Like, he really had no respect for this boundary of mine to prefer to not have a child with a person who I was not married to. And I was like, oh, I gotta go. And that was it. I ended that conversation and the interaction. All communication must cease because we are not intellectually compatible. We don't have the same pedigree. If in your mind, my desire to be married before having a child is laughable, we are not in the same neighborhood. We don't pray the same. We don't want the same things. Like, this is not compatible. And so that was one of the extreme examples of that. But there are many times where I'm having conversations with men and there's just no range. Like, they don't have the range. I'm the type of girl, I'm a chameleon. We could talk about Cardi B and Nicki acting a fool on the internet. We could talk about ICE and what Trump is doing at the borders. Like, I can go. You can take me down to the cookout with my booty shorts on and we can gang, gang, bang, bang with the best of them. And you can take me to the governor's ball with my gown and be regal and be able to have conversations. I'm multifaceted. I am very much a chameleon in that regard. I have the range. Shared experiences, life experiences, but also education and just intellect. And so I'm looking for someone who can be compatible with me in that way. And some of these conversations are just one note. Like, we could talk about maybe hip hop and Kim and Cardi and who right and who wrong, but then we can't really talk about what's going on in the world around us right now, or vice versa. They are very buttoned up, very much a suit, if you will. And we can talk about politics and, the economy, but then they haven't heard the latest Drake song. And so that is a lack of compatibility for me as well. Now, of course, that one is more like music, but in terms of intellect, I do need you to be able to be well read and just have more layers of you than just what meets the surface, than just what meets the eye, than just what meets the ear. Jesus. And so when you think about a lifestyle, we also bring up, drinking, smoking, and like different vice habits. How compatible could you be with someone if they did smoke, if they didn't smoke? Another preference for me is that I would rather you not smoke. The gentleman is a stretch. The dude who laughed at me because I didn't want to be a baby mama, he was also kind of like, he just looked like he smoked. No shade, no shade. But when a person be smoking, you be knowing. He just looked like he smoked, and I was like, "You smoke?" And he was like, "No, I don't smoke weed." Now, honestly, if you're gonna smoke, weed is what is going to be allowed the most. Cigarettes, absolutely not. I prefer you not smoke at all. But weed is like, okay, you clean with it, okay. Cigarettes, absolutely not. He smoked blacks. And I was like, mm. And he was like, why you make that face? I was like, I don't really like guys who smoke. And he was like, you want a nigga to be perfect. And I'm like, I mean, we're getting to know each other. I think it's important for me to be able to communicate to you what I do and don't like. I don't know how my desire for you not to smoke is rooted in perfection. I ain't say stop smoking. I ain't even say this is a deal breaker and hang up the phone, which I should have. But he was so turned off. You want it to be perfect. And I'm like, no, I just want you to know what it is that I like and don't like. And so when we talk about compatibility again, do they have to check all of the compatibility boxes? Or which ones are we willing to be lenient towards? The lifestyle ones, I feel like I could be lenient towards that. If you want to spend your mornings hiking, your Saturday mornings, I'm probably not going to come with you, but I could come once a month. If I want to spend my Saturdays going to brunch real quick before it's over, maybe you don't want to come with me every Saturday, but you should come with me at least once a month. So that's a lifestyle thing. I feel like I could be open to that. The ones that I cannot be open to are more of the spiritual and intellectual compatibility issues. I cannot date, be serious, or get to know someone intimately if they do not have a spiritual grounding in some type of relationship with God. And so I was having this conversation with my friend Isaiah. Y'all know Dr. Isaiah, one of the executive producers of the show. And I was like, could you date somebody who didn't believe in God? And he was like, that's a good question. I'm still exploring that, but I think it really depends on their stance on their disbelief. Like, are you just the one who doesn't believe? Or are you actively trying to convert me to be a non-believer as well? And I was like, that's a good point. Like, if I'm over here praying and worshiping and meditating, are you making a mockery of that? Do you think it's silly? Or are you just in the room minding your business? I think those are two very different experiences of a non-believer. I personally ain't dealing with none of them. You got to believe in something to be let over here into me, okay? You got to believe in something, because I don't see a world where you truly understand me if you aren't a believer. I'm a very deep person. I'm a very layered person. And when I'm going through things, a lot of it, I lean on my spirituality to help me navigate it. And so I just don't see a world where my partner who doesn't believe would truly get me and understand me and be able to counsel me if they have no foundation of what I'm even talking about, if they have no foundation of the experience and the way I see the world. And so compatibility for me too is a lot about worldview. Like, what goes through your mind when certain things happen in the world? How do you see the world? Do you believe in karma? Do you believe in natural order? Do you believe in divine intervention? Those types of things really matter to me in terms of knowing if you're going to be somebody I could really talk to. Again, moving past just vibes. All we want to do is vibe, and that's cute because I'm a little vibe. But after that, what are we talking about once years have passed and the vibe has worn off, when you're talking about really building with somebody? And so those are some of the frustrations that I'm having with these interactions and some of these experiences lately. And it's making me think, am I the drama? Word to Cardi. Cardi says she might be the drama, girl. Me too. I might be the drama right there with you. Speaking of Cardi B, one of my favorite songs from the new project is Safe with Kalani. And the chorus goes, I don't need a rich, I just need somebody that'll make me feel safe. And I think safety is also a word that is used so common in pop culture. And we need to redefine what safety means, just like we do compatibility. Because to me, feeling safe is a part of feeling compatible with somebody. But safety to me is not physical, obviously. Like, I don't think most people mean physical safety when they say that. I mean, I think that's a given. I don't want to say it's not important. I just think that's a given. Like, if I'm with a man, platonic, romantic, indifferent, there is a layer of you're the man that you want to feel safe with that person. Like, even when I'm with a homeboy, I want to know that if something goes down, you gon' okay. And so I think romantic safety beyond those factors really goes to, for me, making me feel seen. Being, and not making me, because people can't make you do things, but providing a space for the authenticity of who I am, the vulnerability that comes along with being me, to fully be on display. That's what safety looks like to me, is making sure that I can, even if it comes with conflict, even if it comes with hard conversations, I'm never in a space with you where I feel like I can't be expressive, no matter what those feelings are. That's what safety means for me in a relationship, romantic, platonic, whatever. I need to know that it is okay for me to be all of the multifacets, all of the many layers, and especially the hard parts of me. And that's how I try to show up in the world when getting to know people. I try not to be judgmental. I try to be open. I try to be understanding. I try to make you feel safe. Like, feel safe and secure enough to show up who you really are here. And let me decide if that is compatible for me. I think a lot of times people show up as their representative. We hide behind walls. We don't really bring our true selves to situations for a long time because of that acceptance factor. And so you find yourself vibing with somebody that you think you're compatible with. But when the walls start coming down, when the representative leaves and the real person shows up, they're a complete stranger all over again. And that's when you realize we're not actually compatible. So I'm trying to do better about asking better questions at the top of the experience, at the top of getting to know each other. And that comes with really figuring out what you want. I fuss at my girlfriends about this all the time. I'd be like, y'all, one thing men got right about girls, about women, is that we do not be knowing what we want. Like, when I be talking to my girlfriends, they are right. Like, they have had some experiences where some men have come into their lives who were presumably everything that they've said that they wanted, and they've ran, or they've just not been ready. And it's just like, girl, you don't know what you want, because you sit on the phone with me and tell me this, but now here this man come and you don't know what to do with it. So if I could give a man any credit, that would be it. Women do not be knowing what they want. But I think in terms of compatibility and understanding what you want, I think we have to do a better job at having less surface level conversations at the beginning of the experience, having conversations and asking questions that really determine if we are truly compatible beyond surface level things. So for me, the layers of compatibility: emotional, spiritual, physical, lifestyle, and intellectual. So, emotional compatibility: can they hold space for my feelings? Spiritual compatibility: are we aligned in faith and purpose? Physical compatibility: do I feel attraction and safety? I think that's so important to emphasize because, we are a shallow people and we like to be attracted. Everybody likes some fine shit. And so learning to look beyond just the physical attraction, but like, do I feel safe when I'm with you? I would also put under physical. Lifestyle: do our routines complement each other? That one, I don't know where I would rank it, because to some people that's high up on the list. Like, if you don't like to hike, if you're not outdoorsy, then we're not compatible. And I guess for me, lifestyle and routines, I'm not the girl who you just finna go you I'm not the girl who you just gonna look, I'm so not that girl, I can't even get it out. I'm not the girl who you just finna have in the house. I'm not the homebody. I'm not the weekend after weekend walking around with my bonnet on girl. You're gonna have to take me outside. You're gonna have to text me and say, where those heels you like? I bought you your favorite bottle of perfume. We going to our spot and have dinner, and then we gonna go to a little speakeasy, listen to some music afterwards. Some people don't like outside like that. And so that would be a hard lifestyle compatibility factor for me. So I'm wondering if that equates the same way to someone who is very outdoorsy. Like, will it be a deal breaker if their partner does not want to go hiking? That one for me, the lifestyle one, is where I still have the most figuring out to do in terms of what is actually my preferences in terms of lifestyle compatibility. And then intellectual compatibility, can you meet me where my mind lives? So if I had to rank these emotional, spiritual, physical, lifestyle, intellectual, ooh, I wanted to put intellectual first, but I'm a spiritual being before my intellect. So I'm going to put spiritual first. Are we aligned in faith and purpose? I'm going to put intellectual second. Can you meet me where my mind is? Are you smart? Jesus. Um Physical would be third because I do think it's important to be attracted to you and feel safe. Emotional would be next. Can you hold space for my feelings? And then lifestyle would be last. Do our routines complement each other? That's so interesting that my list netted out that way because lifestyle is important to me. I think maybe because I don't have the most trouble with that one. I usually kind of attract my vibe. I usually, because of how I show up in the world and where I meet men, with the exception of dating apps, because you kind of don't really know a vibe, I usually attract my vibe. So I don't really have a problem. I haven't ran into it yet with the issues of the lifestyle compatibility. Or maybe our interactions too aren't going that far. I think because spiritual compatibility and intellectual compatibility is so high up on the list for me, we're not even getting to the lifestyle compatibility portion because we're not having the conversations that even give me enough depth and enough stimulation, enough intellectual stimulation to even get there. My desire to be intellectually stimulated is high. I want depth in the conversation. I want substance. I want meaning. I don't just want to kick it in key. I want that to be a part of how we get to know each other. But we got to sit around and talk about things that actually mean something, things that actually determine if we are spiritually, emotionally, okay, and intellectually compatible. And I want to acknowledge, I know that nobody will check every single box. Even though that man was like, you ain't gonna be perfect. That is not the case. That is not at all what I expect. I think because of the way men show up in the world, they have an expectation that the woman will, and it's not so much the way that they show up in the world, the way that they are socialized. Men have an expectation that the woman should fit into the vision that they have for their lives. People aren't really taking the time to get to know each other and determine if they can be compatible and aligned together. A lot of men are looking for a woman who can already fit into whatever they got going on. And that is also a challenge in this issue of dating because a lot of women, we're full on human beings with our own stuff going on. And it's hard to fully acquiesce and just surrender all of your whole life to follow the plan of somebody else's vision. And for those reasons, it's very hard to be compatible, especially when you are a visionary like myself, when you are a woman who has a plan and a vision for her own life. It's never going to work for me to just fold that into what someone else has going on. But I find that people aren't really willing to change the way that they see their vision to allow partnership in. And that could be a problem for me too. Like, as I talk this through with y'all, there is some flexibility that has to happen there if I really want to be with a partner for real on an intimate level. There are going to be some things about my vision that will have to change, not foundationally, but circumstantially, just to accommodate having somebody else in your life. And I think that also speaks to compatibility as well. Like, does the vision that you have for your life have room for edits and audits if and when a partner comes around and now you have to include them as a part of that life vision? When you look at people, celebrities in particular that people consider to be power couples, let's take like a Beyonce, Jay-Z, Sierra, Russell Wilson type, for example. Those were four people who were superstars and had a lot of light and power on their own. And so I'm sure that there was some merging of the minds and merging of lifestyle and things and vision in particular that just had to happen in order for them to continue the pursuit of their own personal and professional passions while also merging their lives together. And I feel like that's what I would love to hear. Like, I don't want to know Sierra's prayer. I don't want to know, how Beyonce forgave Jay-Z after he cheated. I would rather know, how did you guys, both being powerhouse people, independent of your partners, how did you guys merge your lives together? How did you get your visions to align? Those are the conversations I want people to be having on podcasts. That's what I want you to be able to teach me. I don't like the conversation that continuously divides us, and definitely not the stupid ass who paid the bills conversations. My God, that is so low vibrational. So yeah, that's something for me to think about as a woman who has great vision, as a woman who's very sure about herself and what she wants. I need to think through in these dating experiences and interactions, in what ways am I going to be able to alter and edit my vision to accommodate a partner now being a part of it. Oh, that was a good takeaway. The girl is self-aware now. The girl is self-aware. Okay? I don't just be sitting up here telling people what to do. I be trying to figure out what to do myself because I don't be knowing. None of us have the answers. But I be sitting here trying to figure them out. And that was good. So I'm about to share some voice notes, okay? Some business of mine. I've been back on these dating apps 1 week. Okay, today is only October 8th. I have been back literally since October 1st. So in 1 week, I have struck out twice. And I'm going to play some voice notes because they're funny and I need y'all to know exactly how unhinged people are. But before I do that, I want you guys to think through and tell me in the comments, what type of compatibility do you crave most? Is it emotional, spiritual, physical, or intellectual? Where do you net out? Let me know in the comments which one you crave most. Okay. So I'm on these dating apps. I'm on Hinge. I say apps, but I'm really just on Hinge. And it's getting crazy. Well, it didn't got crazy. So I told y'all I go through these breaks where I'm on and off, on and off. When you get back on, there are, unless you completely delete it, which I never do, I just literally get off. You usually come back to messages because people are still attempting to match with you, reach out to you while you're gone. So I came back to a message that says, now this is February 8th, 6 months ago, 7 months ago, whatever it is. So in his defense, let's start in defense of the man. Okay? In his defense, I did come back to this message months later. But we're on a dating app. Like, so what do I really owe you? I'm just saying. So he said on February 9th, good morning. Nice to meet you. That's his name. And so I responded when I got back to the apps and I said, I'm so late with the emoji. And he said, might be my turn. I said, LOL, I like that perspective. I went on to say, so from February to September, you still single with the eyes. So he sent a voice note saying that he was working on like just some stuff in life and he was busy having fun, or rather yet fun was having him. And that's why he's still single. And I sent the voice note back and I said, oh, okay, cool. I was like, I like your personality. You're funny. Because in the voice note, he talking to people all in the background. Like, he like, what's up, bruh? Is he talking to me? And I like when people send a voice note. I like when people get straight to some type of interaction. Because so often on these dating apps, it's just a constant back and forth of, hey, how are you? I cannot stand it. So when a man does like get to it, like give me something, I do appreciate that. And I was able to discern a little bit of his personality because of a voice note. It has tone. It has more interaction than just reading from a piece of paper, from a text message. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. What type of like business stuff were you working through? And what kind of fun were you having? Or should I say, what kind of fun was having you? And y'all, it went downhill from there. I am going to play the message that the man sent me. I have distorted his voice to maintain privacy because while I want to be that girl, I am that girl who shares her life and experiences. I don't want to be that girl who is just recklessly sharing things that can reveal people's identities, because that ain't cool. I never want to be the girl where it's like, okay, look, coming to dinner, we got to watch what we say because it might end up on her podcast. I mean, it might, but I always like to share from a this is my experience and not really putting the person on blast. And when absolutely necessary, I like to always keep the people who are a part of my life anonymous. This man ain't a part of my life, but out of respect for whoever he may be, somebody, husband, daddy, wife, whatever, I wouldn't want him to hear his voice on this podcast and it turns into something. So we gonna play it, but the voice has been distorted. Okay, listen to what this man told me.
Now, how your ass gonna pop out of nowhere and then pop back into nowhere? Now, come on. Hey, you said having fun. We too adults. If a man is talking about, now I wasn't advertising sex to you. I just said you set yourself up. Just say what kind of fun I was having. Come on now. I'm talking to a woman. I gotta say, I ain't gay, bro. Like, I ain't gay. So, come on. Talk to a woman, man. You tried it too and you hit my line. What's going on? I hit my line. And then, went back into the abyss. But, you can't. That really show inconsistency. I can't even try to defense. It show you an inconsistent dater, lover, person, and got inconsistent personalities. Now, if you can't keep an open communication with somebody, then you're a poor communicator. And these are just all signs of why you're single. Not signs of a person that you're dealing with, because you ain't even talked to me long enough to know what the heck. And I said I told you I had a TV show, so you like, what was you dealing with? Yeah, I was lining my life up for the star. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but anyway, I had to give you this message. I don't think too tough that I'm gonna want to really date you like that. I'm just gonna be honest, but I had to give you this message. So maybe, because you ain't consistent for me. Damn, sure ain't consistent. Then I send that man to my like your energy, and then I don't hit back from you. Like that shit whack as fuck. So maybe you will luck up, but you can't. If you gonna roll dice, let me give you some advice. Cause the way God works, regardless of who you let in your life, you gotta close doors. You gotta leave there. You gotta close certain things. You walking out on people don't you know you fuck you. You could be walking out on your blessing. Y'all women goddamn crazy, man. Y'all motherfucker want shit that look like, that's how you get treated. That stuff that look like is that guy you want to look. That's how you get treated. You need to walk in something that you gonna grow into and learn into and get to know. Yeah, y'all want to walk in shit that look prepared, that ain't really prepared for you. Crave, I'm gone. I gave you enough game. Get you like that, boy. Get a man and shit, all the inconsistent shit on how you're single, down along.
I guess he told me. Talk about old nasty Phaedra Parks Housewife season 5 read. So let's unpack. I did not respond to him because I decided I didn't like his response. I asked him what had he been doing all summer that kept him busy and what type of fun was he having, and it immediately turned sexual. I won't play the full thing, but let me just play you a few seconds of that message so that you can understand why I decided, oh, okay, I'm not responding to this.
Hey, don't say that, boy. I don't know what the hell you doing. I had you half naked on my boat all day tomorrow. Ooh. Look, I bring some sandwich. We'll eat it. We'll eat. No, I got some Gatorade for the cool. Look, I had you half naked and Altoona tomorrow for breakfast, lunch, and supper. Huh? What you mean? What you mean? Huh? Hey, first thing came to my head, get my ball played with. You kind of set Joseph. Go ask though, man, what kind of fight we having get my ball played with a condom on? Look, hey, okay, look, okay. Oh man, so nah, well,
So basically, first of all, he sounds drunk. He sounds like a goddamn alcoholic. But so basically, I said I like the fact that you said maybe it's your turn. It's your turn. What you gonna do with it? And so he responded and said that shit, don't ask me what I'm gonna do with it. I have your ass half naked on my boat tomorrow. So once it turned sexual, y'all heard he even started about talking about getting his genitalia played with. I'm the type of girl I don't even respond. I'm gone. I'm not interested. I'm gone. So after 3 days with no response, he sent the first voice note that I played with for y'all. And that's where he basically decided to read me my rights about being inconsistent and just walking out of his life. And I'm going to walk out on a blessing. And us women are crazy. Like, y'all heard it. And thank God people show themselves sooner rather than later, because we are not aligned. We're not equally yoked. We're not compatible. We are not any of these things, because you just crashed out on a complete stranger on a dating app because she didn't respond to your sexual innuendos and decided to move on. Your ego couldn't take that. And now you got to tell me why I'm single. I would rather be single forever than to be anywhere on your boat playing with your goddamn genitalia. Okay? So I was like, damn, I only been back on these date apps for a week and already I'm striking out. And so this is what I'm talking about when I talk about compatibility. Everybody's fed up. Like he brought so many different issues into it. He talked about us women are crazy. So clearly he's fed up with women. He talked about how I walked myself into that conversation by saying, it's your turn. What you gonna do? He said I walked myself into that conversation in terms of him being sexual because I said, well, what kind of fun were you having? Like, I'm literally making conversation, asking you, what were you doing for the past 6 months that kept you single? How is that a room for you to open the door and now tell me about what type of things you want to do to me on your boat? And so this is what I'm up against. This is what I'm dealing with. And he was so temperamental. This is why you're single. Let me give you some advice. I always think it's so funny when people try to read people who are in the exact same circumstance as them. Like, you telling me this is why I'm single is not a read. We are on a dating app, which means you single too. Like, how is being single a read? Then go end the message by saying, go get your life together and go find a man. Well, okay, I'll listen. To go get your life together, we're always on a journey to do that. So I'll accept it. You're right. Let me stop talking to your ass and go get my life together. The go find a man, I am so sick of people centering men as if when you find a man, you found this great treasure. This is not to knock men. I do think that there's value in having partnership. I like men. I want a man. I do not believe in bashing men. However, we have got to decenter the fact that when you found a man or when you are partnered, that you are a step above or a notch above in society. You being chosen makes you more special. I choose me every day, and God chose me from the beginning. So I'm already special. It's in my bloodline. It's in my DNA. I don't need a man to add to or validate the fact that I am special. Nickel. So needless to say, he pissed me off. But it made for great group chat discussion. It made for great sharing here. And I'm grateful for the fact that he showed me that side of him on the app. We never even made it to text messages because we are not compatible. We are not aligned. And it's best that I find that out sooner rather than later. And so this next interaction where I have striked out, I won't play his voice note because it's just kind of too lengthy. So I will summarize. But we were talking on the app. It was cool. He wanted to move to text messages, which is fine with me. I'm not one of those people who feels like we need to talk on the app for days and days. I will give you my number. It's fine. And so we moved to the text messages pretty much the same day that we matched. And we were sending voice notes back and forth by his leading. He did it, which I appreciate because, again, so often they don't have nothing to say. They'll be having nothing to say at all. So when you're sending voice notes, when you're engaging, when you're showing a little bit of, your personality beyond the, hey, how are yous, I be with it. And so we're sending voice notes back and forth. We're having small talk. He said he was getting his daughters ready for school. He actually asked me, how was my Sunday going? And I think what I had for dinner. And I was, I told him, and I was like, what about you? And he was like, getting my daughters ready for school. Anytime a man mentions children, I'm going to cue in there. I'm going to lean in, particularly because you brought it up, and I'm going to ask all of the questions that deem whether or not the circumstances with your children is one that is compatible for me. And so I said, oh, okay. He had 2 girls, 10 and 12. I said, oh, okay, how do you manage being a full-time dad? Because he mentioned in a voice note that he has his girls full-time and that they go see their mama on the weekends, every other weekend. And so I was like, oh, wow, how do you manage dating and being a full-time dad? And he was like, I have a strong support system. Their mom is involved, and I prioritize and make time for, the things that I'm interested in. Classic textbook answer. But who's to say that that is not true? And I was like, oh, okay, cool. He was like, do you have any kids? I was like, no. He said, well, how do you feel about dating men with kids? And I said to him, well, it is not my preference, but it's not a deal breaker. And I explained to him that it's not a preference because I don't have any children. And so my life, my days, my mental capacity, it is my own. And so in my experience, because that is all we have in life to truly go off, I don't see where men who have children, and they're the right type of man, the man who's active, the man who's in their children's lives, the man who really shows up and be a daddy, which is great. That is who you should be. In my experience, those type of men have very little time to really nurture and be intentional about getting to know a woman. And so because I have time on my hands to do that, I want that reciprocated. And so it is a little bit of a, I don't want to say red flag, but it's a little bit of a turnoff to know that out the gate, your time is going to be limited. I want to have endless nights where we hang out, till the sun come up and we riding down the freeway playing LMA and I'm singing love songs a little tipsy to my man off key. I want to have those experiences where the night just kind of doesn't end. I want to really get to know somebody intimately. I don't like how when you're dating somebody with kids, they always got to go. Like there's always a hard out. And even on days and weekends where they are free, your capacity, your thoughts are always about them. Like kids feel your mental capacity in a way that I can't relate to. And so there's always, I've been there. There's always the possibility of us having a date and then somebody gets sick, or us having a date and then the babysitter cancels. All of those factors go into it. Are those problems? No. Are those deal breakers? No. Are those preferences? Hell no. And so I think I had made up in my mind, well, it's not a deal breaker because there could be a circumstance where this could work. But I'm just be honest with you, it's not a preference. Like my preference is not to date a man with kids, but it's not an absolute deal breaker. So he told me he didn't want to continue to move forward because we wouldn't be aligned, because he doesn't want to date someone whose preference he is not. To which I said, respect. Cool. Appreciate where you're coming from. He even went as far as to say, I'm not coming at your preference because before I had kids, I was the same way. But now that I do, this is like the equivalent of somebody telling you, hey, I don't want to date you because you're tall, or I don't usually date black women. His words, a direct quote. So it's like you would not want to be somebody's preference. And so I don't want to move forward with that energy around getting to know you, knowing that I'm not your preference. And cool. Even though I pushed back on the I don't usually date black women thing as a correlation here, I don't think those two things are the same thing. Whatever. I said, cool. Respect. We decided that we would end our conversation mutually there. Now, what I didn't elaborate with him on is that, which, I told this to the group chat and I'm telling it to y'all. I think that that was a responsible, honest decision. But I also feel like it is a little bit, you are a single father with two girls who live in home, two preteens. I think you got to know, for a lot of people, that dynamic is not a preference. And so I don't know that his expectations are realistic, if that makes sense. But maybe that's just my worldview. Maybe there are women out there who would hear that dynamic and be like, perfect. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Let's coexist. She is not me. And kudos to him for realizing that and decided to move on. Where he lost me was this mother texted me the following weekend. So if we were talking on like a Sunday, he texted me on Saturday at 1:30 in the morning. You up? Y'all could have flipped off the bed. I was up taking me a little TikTok scroll, minding my business. Had just got back from having a little cute time out with my friend Melissa. And I was just scrolling TikTok, winding down. And I got a message that said, you up? I said, this must be the wrong. I said, you must be texting the wrong person. He says, hold on, let me read it to y'all. Because y'all know I like verbatims around here. So he said, "You up?" I said, is this message intended for me? He said, "Yes, comma. Are you available to come see me?" I said, "Is this a joke? You must be texting the wrong person." He said, "Never mind." I said, "Don't ever contact me again." He said, "Done," with the thumbs up. Y'all, I was so pissed because how dare you circle back to someone who you deemed not worthy to date because of their preferences. You circle back with that person, somebody you've never met, to invite them over to your house at 1 o'clock in the morning. First of all, y'all men are dumb. This is where I do say y'all are dumb, because it's way too much of that. I saw on the internet one time, the girl was like, "We need to start robbing them." Y'all need to start getting robbed, because the consistent invitations for women to come to your home that you do not know, it's crazy to me. Like, how are you willing to risk it all like that? Also, I'm insulted. I'm offended because we had an exchange of voice notes and conversation. So you can gauge the type of person I am, the intellect that I came with. And I'm actually disappointed in you as a man, because it was a good conversation. Like, I actually thought you was a cool dude. We talked about things of substance. It had depth. It had range. All for you to invite me to your house after telling me you didn't want to talk to me anymore at 1 o'clock in the morning. And then when I say, is this the right person? All for you to say, "Never mind," because I wasn't with it. So I was just so offended, because it's like, oh, okay, I'm not good enough for you to date and pursue, because my preference is to not have to be bothered with men who have kids, but I'm good enough to, you know what, and invite to your house at 1 o'clock in the morning. And a man gonna be a man, men gonna try you. But golly, that was so disappointing that interaction ended in that. It's like, why couldn't we just leave this where it was, which is you peacefully and respectfully deciding not to continue the conversation because I told you you were not my preference. You had to just take it to a place that showed your hand of how men are. Like, it's ridiculous. And some, not all. Some, not all. I hate that I have to say that and emphasize that. Some men, not all men. Okay? But I'm just like, girl, in 1 week, you 2 for 2. You got 2 men who done sent you voice notes sending you on your way. Thank you, God. Okay, God block that. We got 2 men sending you on your way. And it's just like, dang, is this what the fall energy giving? I'm just opening myself back up to even get on these apps, and this is what it's giving? My God. But as y'all know, I believe that I am going to get what is meant for me. That's why the first dude who I played for y'all, when he was like, "You're going to miss your blessings. Yeah. You're going to miss your blessings." I can't miss nothing that is for me, sir. I cannot stand when people try to play God in your life. How am I going to miss something? I can't miss nothing that's meant for me. And if I'm going to miss something, it will be you. And that is what I need to miss. Please. So I just thought that those were 2 very funny interactions to share so that y'all could see it's hard out here. And I feel like I'm a good catch. I feel like I'm a good person. I feel like I be making the effort. I'm open. I feel like I be doing all of the things. I ain't perfect. I got my ways about me too. I got my things I need to work on, but golly, I ain't out here like this. And so I'm just waiting patiently for me to attract something that has me having a good experience. And I come back to this couch, the safe seat, the scene seat, and I actually have a success story for y'all. So pray it up. I ain't giving up hope, but I also ain't pressed about it. Okay? Child. Well, all right, y'all. Pray for me as I grow up within my strength within the Lord. You know how they say in the good old Baptist church. But all jokes aside, no matter what is going on, I am enjoying life. I'm enjoying experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly. It is all what makes life life. And for that, I am grateful. I am appreciative. Okay. So let's keep the conversation going in the comments. Let me know what y'all date experiences are like. Make sure you answer the listener prompt, which is, tell me, what type of compatibility do you crave most? Intellectual, emotional, spiritual, physical? Rank them for me. Tell me which one you crave the most. I want to hear from y'all. I need to know some of y'all stories too. If you got good stories to share, tell me about a time you felt seen and understood and you felt actually compatible with somebody. Give a hope. Give some hope to the young girl. Let me know what is going on. I want to know the good situations because there are people out there in loving, fulfilling, truly compatible relationships. And we look to y'all to help us figure this thing out because we don't know. We just out here just vibing, just going through the trenches and praying for the best. So if you have some positive experiences to share, they are definitely welcomed in this space. Okay. Y'all, that will do it for today's episode. Listen, no matter where you are in your journey, no matter whether you are dating, you're taking a break from dating, you on the apps, you in a good relationship, you out here in these streets, meeting people, vibing. Maybe you just broke up with somebody, maybe you're engaged, maybe you're married, whatever it is that you're going through relationally, whatever experiences that you are having, my wish for you, my prayer for you is that you simply find peace in the process of just figuring it out. That is all we can do. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.